Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Janice Our Love, also known as the First Lady Coach and the CEO of Pearls Perfected Institute. And I equip women to transform troubles that were meant for their bad into their bless. So let's go. This week is World Mental Health Week, and today is World Mental Health Day, and that is why we are here. And so I decided, based on some information that I know because I'm a mental health professional myself, but I found out this information that just really bothered me, y'all. And it sometimes it doesn't take much to bother me, but this one bothered me because it said that Black women are 50% less likely than other women to seek mental health services. And that bothered me. And I know it bothers my guests too. And as we
Mhm.
get into this, we're going to talk about what we can do to fix that. And as you're going to find out, it's probably related to stigma and a whole lot of other things. But
Mm.
first, let me tell you about my guest. My guest today is a licensed professional counselor, and I have known her for probably at least 20 years.
At
And
least.
I have watched her serve women in a variety of ways, whether that's being a prayer partner or just being a support or being a leader in the church. I have seen her transform into a professional that is doing wonders in the mental health arena. She is blessing souls. She is changing lives. She is helping to establish new legacies. She's a mother. She is a wife. Her children, they adore me. I'm one of her favorite people. They're grown people with jobs, and one's in college, and the other one is now employed. And her husband is doing great things in the community as a coach at one of our local high schools. So I could go on and on and on about our guests, but please welcome to the stage Miss Tina Richardson.
Good evening, Dr. Love. And she's also my first lady. It's such a privilege to be here to talk about such an important topic. As you know, it's near and dear to my heart as well, being a Black woman and being a licensed professional counselor. So I'm just excited to be here tonight.
Exactly. So how do you feel about that statistic?
I think it's horrible, but not surprising. Being one of five children in my own family,
Mhm.
I can tell you that before I became a licensed professional counselor, I'm still yelling to family members to go and get help, but was one of the first people in my own family to have a therapist. So it's astonishing and it's a horrible statistic, but I'm glad that we're doing something about it.
Definitely. And I think back to my own life, plenty of challenges growing up. Growing up with a father who drank for fun on the weekends, right?
Right.
That's a nice way to put it. And that left me with certain kinds of challenges and issues that I didn't feel comfortable talking to anybody about. And I remember when I first went to grad school, and whenever you're in you're training to be a counselor or anything, you're required as part of your schooling
Right.
to have a counselor or a therapist. And so
Mhm.
that was really my first experience with one. And it made a huge difference. But I, I can think of a lot of reasons probably why I hadn't gone before. And I think it's
Mhm.
related to that stigma we're going to be talking about.
Absolutely. I can tell you an experience myself that I made an appointment twice when my baby sister was diagnosed with cancer and canceled. And as a matter of fact, went to my primary care and was instructed that there was nothing wrong. And so I know now that primary care, they refer you to therapists.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I was told that, I just needed a little rest and my blood pressure was high. And I said, does my baby sister having cancer have anything to do with it? And was not given a referral.
Wow. But you know that's always been a safe place for us to just go to the doctor.
Right.
It's we feel okay going to the doctor. It's okay to say to somebody, I got a doctor's appointment. We're
Yeah,
okay with that, right?
that's right.
But when it comes to things that, well, wait, let me even switch that around a little bit. A lot of times what happens is because we don't want to deal with it is in a sense emotionally, it manifests
It
itself as
manifests
physical
physically.
problems, and then that
Absolutely.
sends us to the doctor.
Absolutely. The physical comes up as heart palpitations or
Uh-huh.
migraines
Hmm.
or you losing your breath. And that, whether you're having anxiety or the depression looks different, especially in Black women. And I know you're going to talk about this, back in the day when someone would be depressed, they would say their nerves are
Yeah,
bad.
got bad nerves, got
Bad
bad nerves,
nerves.
or
Hmm.
or had a nervous breakdown,
Or
right?
nervous breakdown. We all
Yeah,
know
and
someone that was in the hospital or they were sent away for a nervous breakdown.
yeah, that I mean that is awful that we had this fear that if we appeared out of kilter and having what they called a nervous breakdown, that we were going to be sent away somewhere.
Right.
And that was, I mean, that was near and dear to my heart, especially because because when my mother had tuberculosis back in the mid 60s, the
Wow.
treatment for tuberculosis was to go to a sanatorium.
Hmm.
And so the fear of being locked away somewhere
Hmm.
was frightening. So yeah,
That's
I was going to act like I could make it through anything, right?
anything. And
Just about
then you were
anything.
so scared that, especially, your example, that if I act like there's something wrong with me, I'm going to go away too.
Exactly, exactly, because they put the label crazy
Crazy.
on
Mhm.
people who were just having struggles, challenges, stressors, the things that now we know mental health treatment, therapy, counseling is the best cure for that, or
That's
the
right.
best way
To
to
deal.
show an improvement in your life.
Hmm.
But again, back then it was you would go to the doctor, and maybe maybe you could get the doctor to give you something if
Right.
you
They
know
call
it's
them
bad,
nerve.
right?
You remember they called them nerve pills. We don't know what they were taking.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And yeah, you're right. Nerve pills, or they would find other ways to soothe it. And oftentimes it was ways that was not healthy, either drinking,
Right.
like I talked about with another group. I talked about my great aunt
Uh-huh.
who, was having lots of challenges in her life. And she had a cup full of what we thought was water, but it was really vodka.
Wow.
But,
I think we
she took
all
it.
can tell those stories. Like you said, we don't know but it was a coping strategy. Was it healthy? No, but it's a coping
Exactly.
strategy. Mhm.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the stigma. Let's talk about the stressors that Black women are experiencing. What you're seeing in your practice, what I'm seeing in my practice. What are some of the major stressors that you're seeing?
Major stressors that I'm seeing, especially from Black women, are being discriminated against. The same
Ooh,
kind of stressors that normal people would have, people that are not African American or women of color, but added layer of I have discrimination at my job or I can't speak out. So that's a major one I'm seeing.
wow, yeah. I mean, we have that added piece because against women in general, we know that there's sexism in the workplace. We know that there's
Right.
discrimination in the workplace, and then when you add on being a Black woman,
That's
then
right.
there's that additional thing because we either are seen as the angry Black woman, or we feel like, or they might feel like we got our position because of affirmative action or
Affirmative
because they
action.
needed one of us in the room, and
Mhm.
and that's a stressor because you feel like you got to perform all the time and you're on edge all the time, and that causes anxiety,
Yes.
depression. You roll over and don't even want to go to
Yes.
work because of all that pressure that's at work. So yeah, that's definitely a stressor that I see with a lot of women. So now
Mhm.
there are, I even work with some women who specifically counsel for that type of issue,
Wow. Yeah.
because it's such a huge need, especially for the well, any woman that's in the workplace, because we
That's
know
right.
what the pandemic did.
Oh,
I
yeah,
won't even go there, but
absolutely.
yeah, and I remember that we were actually Gateway of Hope is an organization that we both represent. I remember
Mhm.
we actually got money just for women who were
Yes,
dealing with things during the pandemic, especially as it relates to having to go to work in uncomfortable situations
that's
and
right.
also losing jobs, those kinds of things. But we don't even have enough time for that. So let's go on to what's the next thing that
Well, and if you remember that during the pandemic, one of the major stressors was all of the violence that we were seeing. So not only
um,
are women working from home, but I will tell you, I had an increase in clientele. I think because number one, they weren't in person and they could
mhm,
do virtual counseling,
mhm,
which a
mhm.
lot of women of color, especially Black women, we feel more comfortable if we're not face to face with our emotions. But because of all of the Black Lives Matter, the violence that was happening in our nation and discrimination that was coming to a halt because we were all at home, their anxiety was going up. Am I safe to talk about this in the workforce?
Exactly, exactly, and you hit a nerve right there where I found that because of wanting to be talk to somebody that they don't know
Hmm.
or is more comfortable for
Right.
Black women, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten appointments all across the country because women are more comfortable. What are you seeing?
Exactly. I see women who are coming from a different county. They
Mhm,
were driving 30 to 45 minutes, not only because we don't have very many Black women, right, in our
mhm.
profession, but also the stigma as I don't want someone to see me in my own community. So that I want to
Wow.
go outside of my county lines so that I can make sure, what do we call it, that superwoman syndrome, wearing our super cape.
Ooh, yes, yes, yes. And that superwoman syndrome, we call it in our community the strong Black woman,
Absolutely, that
and
strong Black woman.
that has kept women out of the counseling office.
Yes, that
But
I even
everything
counsel
I read
adults.
is it's doing us more harm than good to try to live up to this strong Black woman
Mhm,
image,
mhm.
because it means that we are not taking care of ourselves.
That's right.
We're taking on everybody else's issues
Mhm.
and we are not looking out for ourselves. But we're the strong Black woman. We don't
We're the-
cry, we
We
don't
don't
get help
cry.
when
We
we
don't
need
show emotion. We don't miss a day of work.
it.
We have so
Yeah,
much PTO that they're not going to pay us at the end. That we're keeping our PTO because we're the strong Black woman. You know,
exactly. I remember those days, but now this strong Black woman go on vacation.
the strong Black woman does too.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, and this is important because again, the church sometimes has
Yes.
steered us, unfortunately, in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So typically, what would happen, and being a first lady, I see this all the time. People are having challenges. Women
Yeah.
are having challenges, maybe in their marriage,
Mhm.
maybe in financial trouble,
That's right.
whatever it is that is causing them
Mhm.
stressors. They say, or somebody tells them, make an appointment with the pastor.
Right. Yeah. And
And
as you said, sometimes the pastor is not equipped. Of course, that's not a Second Baptist where I belong, but sometimes the pastor is not equipped and they're giving either wrong advice or wrong, and it sets them back or none at all.
and that is scary. Or they're just simply told to pray about it. Just pray about
Pray
it.
about it.
No, they might pray with you and then send you on your way, but you still haven't been able to resolve the issues or to really get out what you needed to know. And sometimes, with the pastor, they might not want to tell him everything, right? They
That's
they keep
right.
they keep a few things from us. But
Mhm.
when they are equipped to do that, that's helpful But again, we have to, if your church is not equipped,
That's
you
right.
cannot look to your church for mental health services,
That's right.
because you're going to become more frustrated.
Hmm. And of course, and you mentioned it earlier, I'm a prayer warrior. And Gateway of Hope, we offer Christian counseling if you want it, and if you don't, we don't force that on you. But the ideology that you have to have prayer
Hmm.
um, is gone away. Prayer and therapy combined will help
Hmm.
if that's what you want as a woman. I don't force it on our clients, but if that's what you want. But prayer alone, and that's something I'm trying to break the stigma in my own family, to just
Hmm.
pray it away. As you know, most of us come from huge extended families,
Hmm.
and we will pray anything away, but we need sometimes coping skills. I tell my family that when you have a mental health disorder, or there's something going on with your mental health or mental awareness, wellness, you wouldn't go if there was something physically wrong with you. You wouldn't stay home from the doctor. So if you have a mental health, just like we're celebrating or we are bringing awareness to breast cancer this month, we
Hmm.
need to do the same for our mental health.
Exactly, exactly. And so that is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. And again, that's why I even do what I do. So how
Yeah.
did you get to the space where you decide to become a therapist?
Well, but a lot of people don't know. I've been in education for years and went back. I love school counseling. I'm also a school counselor, but I was seeing that again, our community. I wanted young people to see someone that looked like them. And every time I referred them to outside services, they're like, "Mrs. Richardson, can I just see you? Can I just see you?" Uh, I don't trust the person. I don't trust therapy without even having to go. They
Hmm.
really don't trust. And so I said to myself, with a lot of prayer, what can I do to bring awareness to my own community and my own family to take the stigma down? And again, I told my story about when my baby sister was diagnosed with cancer, that I was, told to go home and rest. And decided that, you know what, we need to do something about that, and have representation does matter.
Wow, I love it. I love it. And your reasons are so very similar to mine, because I started out in more research. I thought I was going to be a medical doctor until I saw blood, and girl, that was it.
Same. I can't see blood.
I had to switch it up, and then I decided I was gonna be maybe a psychiatrist. So actually, I had started out in undergraduate in pre med, and I said, "Oh, I'll just be a psychiatrist." But and then along the way, got more interested in research, which is my heart. But because of my own personal experiences of
Yeah.
going through a divorce, being a stepmom, some of the other things, then I started being a voice for other
Mm,
women, but I needed that training. So I went back to get that
mm,
Christian counseling degree so that I could um, allow women to let their faith meet therapy at the same time, and be able to serve them with their issues. So,
mm.
thank God he sent you back to school, and,
Yes.
and you aced that test, and you were ready to go. And I am just excited about what you are doing. So as we talk about, again, just Black women, I'm looking at the differences I've seen with Gateway of Hope. So I am currently on the board of directors, and Tina is a counselor, is a therapist with Gateway of Hope Ministries, which is strictly for women.
Yes.
And I have been on the board for 7 years, and
Wow.
we don't see couples. We see just women, just
Hmm.
women. And
Hmm.
so what I have seen, and this is something I prayed about and worked very hard to make happen, is when I first joined with them, even though we had a African American executive director, a lot of the clients in Johnson County were not African American. And
Mm,
so I was like, we're gonna open
mhm.
this up to our church members. And so I started talking about Gateway of Hope, and eventually we actually had some church members who sought out services there.
Mhm.
um, but what I have seen is now we have two Black counselors, three Black counselors. Let me
Yes.
take that back. We have a sister circle that actually meets on
Mm-hmm.
Saturdays,
Mm-hmm.
and we are seeing a record number of Black and Brown babies that are
Yes,
coming in for services, and that is so encouraging to me because again, I know that there has been this struggle with getting us to seek services.
that's right. I will say one of the things that you did that was so unique with our church, because again, just because we are at church didn't mean that people wanted to go in for services.
Right.
You held a lot of events at Gateway of Hope in the beginning, which
Mhm.
opened up the door for people to see that going to counseling is not like a doctor's office. It's warm, it's inviting. You can come in and have a cup of tea, that you can
Mhm.
get in a read a book, and you really open that door for our community to see that it is not a sterile environment. And
Exactly.
so I think that really increased our numbers. What I like about Johnson County and Gateway of Hope is that not only do we see women, but I see young adults, um,
Mhm.
brown and black young adult women who are the first gener. I say it, they're the first generation to get help, and I tell them that they're leaving a legacy in their family.
And you know what? There's something about this new generation. They seem a little more open to therapy than
Hmm.
our age group. And I'm older than you, but our age group, the 50 and up club, they kind
Hmm.
of had some. It had to be serious for them to seek services. But our kids, they like, I got a therapist. They all proud to have
It's
one.
self-care for them. And that's what I love about that age group so much, is that building the therapeutic relationship with them is real simple. They'll come in at 1 or 2 sessions. They're into their emotions. They trust you. My age, and I always say this, people who are my age and older, it takes about a month or two for them to even start trusting me. And I look like them.
Yeah, I mean, you pouring out your heart, and you
That's true.
really have to
That
feel
is true.
comfortable. You really have to feel like you can trust, and you really have to feel like that person can help you get
That,
to where you want to be before you open up your heart. So, yeah, it might take about 5 or 6 sessions to
mhm.
even get to the point.
That's right.
But that's why it's so important that you at least get to know a little bit about your counselor
Yes.
before you go on. Talk to other people.
Mhm.
Again, we might not do that again because we don't want anybody to think that we need some help. But
Right.
learn as much as you can about your therapist or counselor, and be willing to. The only way you're gonna get better is to get that help.
That's right.
So
And
quit trying to be the
do it.
strong woman.
Take the strong woman syndrome off and take the cape off, and view mental health like you mentioned earlier. The young adults, they view it as, I'm going. I have some young adults that want their weekly session. They're like, listen, I need my weekly session, like it's self-care.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I mean, and,
Hmm.
and hopefully it's convincing, uh, us as parents
That's
to,
right.
to also get the services we need. And then there's some who I have talked to that said, well, it's too late for me.
Mm,
What are you saying?
right. Too late. It's never too late. It is never too late to go and talk to someone. And really, I think you would give the same advice, that you'd rather talk to a stranger than family, because sometimes you can open up and be more vulnerable with
Hmm.
a stranger than you can with a family member.
Exactly. Because we're kind of hesitant to tell,
Hmm.
to tell somebody that kind of knew us back when,
Right.
uh, to say certain things or even
Hmm.
know us now. And that's something that I think that makes it difficult for Christian women sometimes
Yes.
because they don't want to. We're living lives now where we want people to think everything is going so well, right?
Oh,
And we
yeah.
don't want to expose the trauma that we went through or the things that we actually went through and the help that got us there to get to the point where we are today. Yeah, I have no shame in my game. I have anytime something major pops up in my life,
Hmm.
I'm going to counseling,
There you
right?
go.
So
Hmm.
when I got divorced, went to counseling. When I got remarried, went to
Hmm.
counseling. When we had shift changes, just from a perspective of our household looking different,
Right.
I went to counseling. And so I, no shame in my game.
Hmm.
I know that counseling works. I know that therapy works. And as Black women, we have to understand that that can be our safe space.
That's right. And we'll live longer because we're getting, I always say the pain, if you are not showing your emotions, if you're not feeling it, your body's feeling it. It's coming out and manifesting some way.
It is.
Blood pressure, diabetes, we can go on, but it's coming out. So you
Mhm.
might as well go to therapy and get it up and get it out.
Right. I mean, that's preventive care as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because again, think about what stress does to us. Stress, puts that cortisone on our bodies. We can't lose weight. Girl, since I've been relieved of the work stress, I lost probably about 12 pounds because
And
I
I
don't have
envy you.
that stressor, that stressor coming on me.
Yes,
Um, but all that stuff manifests
it
into
does.
physical symptoms. So behavioral health and mental health care is preventive services. It'll keep
Mhm.
you from maybe having so much stress that it takes your blood pressure out of whack,
That's
or
right.
help you to deal with things so you're not eating yourself into diabetes or into obesity and those kind of things.
Mm,
So it saves you down the line.
it really does.
Not people worry about the cost.
Mm.
A lot
I was
of
about to
places
say
take
that about the
insurance,
cost.
right? But it's an investment in you.
That's right.
It's an investment in
Because
you.
if you think about what we pay for, and
Mhm.
you can probably state the statistics now, as a Black woman, we're going to take care of our hair. We're going to make sure we get our hair done. And if we want to go do something, like you mentioned earlier, vacation. So put it in your budget.
Yeah, put it in your budget. And again, and if you're fortunate to have a job that offers insurance,
Mhm.
then definitely use it. Or if you have an EAP program, definitely use
Yes,
it. But what I love about Gateway of Hope is they have a sliding fee scale. So if a woman cannot afford services, that's why we are raising money right now, because it can help women who cannot afford the services. And it's not like Gateway's prices are outrageous,
no,
right? we actually we're actually charging on the lower end to start with, and so even if a woman can't afford that, she can still get on a sliding fee scale.
that's right. I personally offer, I will not turn a woman down because I want them in services. Now I'm going
Mhm.
to ask them, what do you think that you can pay?
Right,
Um,
but you shouldn't always look for free,
no, oh no, no.
because you want to show some investment. I mean, you have to invest in yourself
That's
in
right.
order. You should, even if it's $5 you're paying, you need to
Hmm.
be paying something,
Hmm.
because that shows that you are willing to invest in yourself.
That's
I
right.
can't say that enough.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Girl, what do you want to add? This has been such a good
It's
conversation.
such a good conversation. I really, what I want to add is that, it's World Mental Health Day, but let's make it, as we talked earlier, a legacy. Each one teach one. Go and grab somebody in your family tonight and say, girl, are you in therapy?
Exactly, exactly. Like
Mhm.
remember you called me last week and kept me on the phone until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You know what? A therapist can help you because all
Because
I
I
can do is
can't.
listen. Exactly. And my cousin, who lives in Maryland, has said something that really hit me hard. She said, "I would rather you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning to talk or to ask for help than to ask for your family to ask me to speak at your funeral."
Wow. That's powerful. That
It
is
is, because suicide is we used to think it wasn't a
powerful.
issue in the Black community, but the numbers show that we are getting just as good at it
That's right.
as other races. So again, if you need help, get the
That's
help.
right. That's right.
So
And it's
what's the website for Gateway? It's gwhope.org.
.org.
And you do offer services virtually.
We offer virtual services. We have life coaching. We also have a lot of groups. So get on our website. Again, if you can choose your therapist and make that call or email us.
Exactly. And again, if you would definitely like to support us in this effort to make sure that women can get access to services, I'm going to drop the link for my fundraising page, because I'm in a competition, and I'm kind of, I don't like to lose. But even beyond that, I want to help as many women as
That's
possible,
right.
because it's so important. I love my sisters, and
Mhm.
my sisters fit, my ones who are biological, my church sisters, my Christian sisters, all my sisters. I love you, and I want you to be whole.
Amen
So
to that.
please do not, if you're stressed, again, let's use the word stress
Right.
instead of having bad nerves. Let's say that you are stressed, then you need to seek out a mental health professional.
Hmm.
And demand of your, if you're using insurance, demand of your insurance company that you can access an African American counselor,
Yes.
because they will allow you even to go out and network sometime if
Hmm.
that's exactly what you want. And
Hmm.
if you definitely want to use your faith as part of the growing process, then seek out a Christian counselor as well. There are options out there.
Yes. So
All right.
everyone, go out and get a therapist.
Yes, go out and get a therapist. Let's get some buttons made. I have,
Yes, get a therapist.
yeah, yeah, to show that you are just clearly doing self-help, and not self-help, but self-care for
Self
yourself.
care. All
Self
right.
care is not sinful, and self care is not selfish. You do what you need to do in order to be and to have that joy, that peace, that abundant life that God promised you, and you
Yes.
can do it with the help of a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tina, what would you say right now to a woman who is stressed with marital issues, or who is stressed about
Mm.
children's challenges? What would you say to her right now?
I would give her some coping strategies. First, one of the ones you just gave. Um, First, I would ask, because I don't do couples counseling, but I would counsel the woman and ask her, does she want me to invest in saving her marriage, or am I helping you exit your marriage?
Yeah, I mean, and again, and yeah, that's all I can say. That
Because
is
you
all.
know you come in with already in your mind what you
Exactly.
want.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's true. And again, some women, especially in the faith arena, are afraid to make that statement because they feel like God's going to be angry at them, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes,
Talking about that. But again, the process. So when they first come in, you kind of do an intake, right?
that's right. And I'm
And
asking, what are your goals? And
okay.
that would be one of the things I'm asking is, you know, what do you want? If you
Hmm.
have three goals, what do you want from counseling? And then I am a solution focused cognitive behavior therapist. So I believe, especially as a Christian, that our thoughts play a lot into our behavior. And so I'm asking to set goals. I'm doing an assessment to see, do you have any anxiety? Do you have any depression? Or is this just an adjustment? Say you're having marital issues. What are you doing for yourself? Do you have self compassion? Where's your self esteem? And then we set those goals together. I'm not going to give you your goals. You're going to give them. And then we're going to work together on the journey of
Yes.
being whole. And
Yes,
I
I
love
love
what you said, that therapy, you went to therapy during those challenges during your lifetime. Therapy is not 6 sessions and you're done. Now,
it. Exactly, exactly, exactly. No, it's again, it's a support system that's built into your life. But
Mhm.
I know that I've had several experiences going to counseling, finding the right one. In fact, I had one that I went to her, but I ended up counseling her.
Wow.
But because the
Wow.
counselor the counselor needs a counselor too,
The
right?
counselor needs a counselor.
Yeah, and oftentimes they are afraid to admit that. So
That's
if you are a mental health therapist or a counselor, you surely better have your own therapist as well.
right.
That's why I
Amen.
love Brene Brown. She talks about the fact
Yes.
that she has her own therapist that she can be straight with.
Hmm.
Anyway, anyway, again, this is a call out to Black
Yes.
women.
To Black women.
Don't let stigma stop you from getting the help that you need.
That's
If
right.
you need help, uh, I suggest that you either, again, you check with your insurance company, call your EAP number. There are hotlines out there, or
Hmm.
again, definitely call Gateway of Hope if you're in the Kansas City area and want to set up an appointment with Gateway of Hope. It's gwhope.org,
That's right.
and set up an appointment there. And
Hmm.
or again, ask somebody. And I give referrals. You
I
can
do too.
always contact me and we can give you a referral. All right.
All right.
Okay. Tina,
This
thank
was,
you. Thank you
thank you for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you. You have been, just have a wealth of information. I love what you're doing. I am so glad that you are working with Gateway, and I'm so glad that you are out there just helping women. And again, don't